Okay, great. Let's go to what we call voter data analysis, and because this ties in directly with the canvassing, our contract, the Senate contract with you, and your proposal for work, one of those items was canvassing, to be able to actually verify if you found any information, and the only or best way to verify it is to actually go to that person. And I've always used the example because I do know of a case where one house got 25 ballots in the mail and only 2 people lived there. And so we had talked about how do we verify that, and there was a question about canvassing. Department of Justice sent us a letter about 4 or 6 weeks ago and said, we're concerned about you actually knocking on doors, that you might, might be voter intimidation or civil rights violation or something, which I find is interesting after the White House last week said we're going to knock on doors to see whether you're vaccinated or not. But that's a side point, just a little side point. But so we told the Department of Justice that we would postpone that indefinitely until your audit was at a point where we could even determine whether that was going to be necessary or not. So can you talk to us about that, and is it going to be necessary? Is it not? Go into that part for me, please.
Yeah, based on the data we're seeing, I highly recommend we do the canvassing because it's the one way to know for sure whether some of the data we're seeing, if it's real problems or whether it's clerical errors of some sort. So for example, we have 74,243 mail-in ballots where there is no clear record of them being sent. And just to be clear, here in the state of Arizona, there's EV32s and EV33s. EV32s is supposed to give a record of when a mail-in ballot is sent, and an EV33 is supposed to give a record of when the mail-in ballot is received. And so there should be an equal, there should be more EV32s, more sent out than there are that are received. Specifically with these, we can tie them to a specific individual that was mailed to. And so we have 74,000 where we have them came back from individuals where we don't have a clear indication that they were ever sent out to them. That could be something where documentation wasn't done right. There was a clerical issue. There's not proper things there. But I think when we've got 74,000, it merits knocking on a door and validating some of this information.
So, Madam President, if I may, Mr. Logan, what are you looking at where you see this, where there's 72,000 received but not 72,000 sent? What did you guys look at to come up with that?
So there was information that was FOIA'd from the county, specifically in these EV32 and EV34 or 33 forms. And that is what gives an account of what was sent out and what was received back.
This is the data you received from a FOIA request back
correct.
From the county.
Members of our team received back, correct.
And you're saying that the EV33, which is the number of ballots received, was higher than the number of ballots.
We are
sent.
not seeing an equivalent EV32 to go along with EV34, or 33, I'm sorry, I keep doing this up.
32 and 33.
32 and 33, we're not seeing them where they match up because there should be a matchup of them. Obviously, you're going to have more mail-in ballots sent out than are ever returned, but specifically, these should match up with each other.
Okay.
Is there another way to get that information? How would you verify that? Is there another way to get that information if what you have seen so far doesn't make sense? How can we verify? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, we could request information from the U.S. Postal Service on what was, went through the mail system. There's additional records about if mail-in ballots were in fact rejected and returned. That information, would be useful in sorting through some of this as well. There's a number of different things associated with artifacts that are created when mail-in ballots are sent.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
Okay. So we have also seen some interesting things related to the voter rolls. So for example, we have 11,326 people that did not show up on a November 7th version of the voter rolls that should have been after votes were cast, but then appeared on the December 4th voter rolls. And just be clear, they show as voted in this past election, but they were not a November 7th version of the file, and they did show up on the December 4th version.
Okay, that sounds confusing. Give me an explanation of why that might have, we're not saying there's fraud, we're not saying anything else. I'm just trying to find answers. Is there a logical explanation why that would be?
I cannot think of a logical explanation on what that would be, but it'd be a great thing to hear back from the county to see if there's anything that we're not thinking of.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
So we have, from what I understand here in Arizona, they originally Hobbs had requested that the registration date for voting be moved up to Election Day, and there was actually a court case that moved it back to October 15th. Based on the registration information that we found in the voter rolls, we have 3,981 individuals who show as having voted in this election, and their data shows up in the canvas as having voted in this election. However, they were registered after October 15th.
So what we would need is, again, so all of these, Madam President, so all of these are things that canvassing, we could find out, did they register before, did they even vote? Or we need some more data, we need more data from the county to show they registered before that date. Something showing that they registered before October 15th, or something showing that these, their ballots were sent out to people where they were received. Or we need to do a canvass. We need to be doing canvassing to ask the voters themselves.
Okay, continue.
The last one I have is we have roughly 20,000, I think it was about actually closer to 18,000, who voted in the election and then showed as being removed from the voter rolls soon after the election. So they were on the voter rolls, they showed as voted, and then they were removed. And there could be a good logical explanation for that, but it seems like a large number to immediately have after an election be removed. And so getting more documentation on the request to remove from voter rolls or other process to make sure that makes sense seems logical. In addition, again, knocking on doors and canvassing can help validate that information.
Okay. Mr. Bennett, besides knocking on doors, how would we also obtain that information? Secretary of State, voter rolls, Maricopa County, or knocking on doors is the only way to do it? I don't understand.
Well, the original voting records are kept at the county level. That is shared electronically on a daily basis with the Secretary of State's office. It keeps a statewide voter database. The Secretary of State's office receives information from vital records and other courts and et cetera, that is then in kind of reverse sent to the county levels to let the counties know who's died, who's been adjudicated in a court hearing as being incompetent or lost their voting rights because of a felony conviction or something like that. So I guess we could look at almost daily data between the county and the Secretary of State's office.
All right, thank you. Continue.
That's actually the last thing I have to cover from this section.
Okay.